So in the morning, I read a lot of different scriptures, but every day I read the Bible, because I love Jesus. And when you start to understand him deeper, you realize that what he was saying was really, really profound, and it was so much bigger than the picture that religion paints. So in John 13, he's addressing his disciples, and he says, "My dear heirs, children, heirs with him, I only have a brief time left with you, and then you will search and long for me. But I tell you what I told the Jewish leaders, you will not be able to come where I am." And this is meaning because when he dies, the disciples are going to go back to their old ways. They're going to forget everything that they learned while following Jesus, and they're going to go back to their religious life. They're going to go back to thinking that their rituals and the way that they live and all the customs that they had are what is going to bring them fulfillment, what's going to bring them God realization. The next verse says, "So, because Jesus knows this, I give you now a new commandment. Love each other just as much as I have loved you. For when you demonstrate the same love I have for you by loving one another, everyone will know that you are my true followers." It goes into a conversation with Peter then where he just still doesn't get it. Like, "Lord, I'll follow you forever." And he's like, "No, you won't." But then right after that conversation in John 14, 1-4, Jesus says, "Don't worry or surrender to fear, for you've believed in God through their religious ways that they had in the past. Now believe in me too." Saying, believe the way of love that I have showed you. Believe that previous command that he just said and live it rather than going back to your religious ways. He said, "In my Father's house are many dwelling places. If it were otherwise, I would tell you plainly, because I go to prepare a place for you." And he's talking about his death that's about to happen. He is going to prepare this place. He is cultivating their hearts so that when he returns 3 days later, that they will fully realize their hearts will be where he is in this realm of divine love. Christ consciousness. This understanding that it's not the mind, it's not our religious duties, it's not politics, it's not legalism, it's not laws, it's divine love. He says, "And when everything is ready," meaning when everything is ready in us, "I will come back to you." Meaning when we're not surrendered to fear, when we're not worrying, when we are surrendered, he will come back to us. "And I will take you to myself so that you will be where I am." That word "take" in the Greek is paralambano, and it's the word used when a groom takes the bride to himself when they're married. And what does that mean? It's when the bride and groom become one, when they are unified, and he is coming to live in us. That same unification of love is what he is talking about. Then basically that equals, "And you already know the way to the place where I am going." Our hearts already know the way. And he basically said, "I just told you the way." In John 13:34, "So now I give you a new commandment. Love each other just as much as I have loved you. For when you demonstrate the same love I have for you by loving one another, everyone will know that you're my true followers." That's it. That is the way. That is the way to where he is going, to the realm of reality, to the truth. And that is the way of Christ. Nothing else matters. Not politics, not culture, not religion, not the past, not the ego, just loving others. That is the way our heart opens. That is the way we break down the barriers. That is the way we stop getting stuck in this mind and division and politics and belittling others. None of that matters. And then Thomas asks still, "So how can we know the way there?" Jesus explains again. And this is right after saying, "Love as I have loved you." He says, "I am the way." The way is everything he just said. By demonstrating love, this is the way to get where I am. He says, "I am the truth," telling them the words for truth and reality are synonymous. So he is saying to them, I am the true reality. This, what I've been showing you, this way that I live, this is the true reality. This is the way that you were created to live. And then he says, "I am the life," meaning I am showing you the fullness of this life. The only thing that matters in this life is demonstrating love, serving one another, caring for one another. No one comes to the Father except through union with me. And he's saying, when you abide in me, when you abide, just like a vine is grafted into the branch, or the branch is grafted into the vine. He is saying, when you abide in me, when you live in this love, when we have divine union, then you will see the Father. You will know the Father. You will know, because the Father is love. God is divine love. So again, he's reminding them that this union doesn't matter. Religion doesn't matter. The union is what matters. Just as a bride and groom become love, love is what and how to be with God through faith in him. And then he goes on to say, or at least believe because of the mighty miracles I have done. If your heart can't understand this posture of love, and that's all it takes to know God, that none of your religious duties matter, that none of the past matters, that this posture of the heart is the only thing that matters. He's saying if your heart can't understand that, he gets it. But he's like, then believe by the miracles I have shown you. And he's saying, I tell you this timeless truth. The person who abides in me, the person who experiences this divine love of the Father, will do the same mighty miracles that I do, even greater miracles than these. So saying our love and our visible display of miracles show people the truth of God. This is how others see him. This is how lives transform. Our words don't matter. What church we go to doesn't matter. Fighting in the name of what we call God doesn't matter. What people do, their sins, in difference to ours, doesn't matter. This posture of the heart is what matters. And when we abide in that, when we have this divine love, the natural expression is for our lives to mimic the life of Christ. Christ consciousness, putting on his mind, seeing with his eyes, seeing the other with his eyes, hearing with his ears, speaking with his mouth, living and serving in the way that he did. That is the way to divine oneness. That is divine union, which is what yoga is. There's just many different languages and ways of explaining it to get there. So I just wanted to encourage you, as you experience the fullness of God, you start to see these equations. You start to not look at one verse in one scripture. You start to see this underlying thread that's underlying all things. And whether you're reading the Upanishads or the Tao or the Bible, you start to see that these messages are saying the same thing. You start to see that Jesus, even though he did not talk to all these other people, maybe he didn't even study the scriptures. He might have. I kind of think he went to India, but that's beside the point. It was about the heart. This is what it is. Not doctrine, not words, not thoughts, not theology, not philosophy. It's this eternal soul, this true self, the created. This is how we know God. This is how we transform. And this is how we truly live. Thanks for listening.